right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Show me the candidates. Tonight, the first Democrat joins the race for Missouri governor.
Multiple rounds and showers and storms have avoided us for the most part, although some of you have got some very heavy rain. But coming up, we're going to talk about why we're seeing these patterns here in the month of July and when we're going to see increasing rounds of rain in our area.
Our top story, a community in mourning. A beloved sheriff's deputy killed in an off-duty crash.
While we mourn at this time, we will choose to remember all the good things he did for the community.
Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office says Deputy Stephen Tucker was killed in a motorcycle accident when a driver swerved into his lane. The crash happened last night on Route J just south of Troy, and new tonight. Our Laura Barczewski spoke with Tucker's family and colleagues who honored him today in a special way.
Lincoln County Sheriff's Deputy Stephen Tucker was riding his motorcycle on Highway J Saturday evening around 7:30 when his life was cut short.
But he had been wanting to ride for about a week and decided he was just going to go out for a ride on his own. I know he was probably on his way back home whenever the accident happened.
The Missouri State Highway Patrol says a driver in a Ford Focus swerved over the line near Bruning Lane, hitting Tucker. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office said later the driver had been drinking. Tucker died at the scene.
This is a prime example of why we as law enforcement need to be given the tools that we need to get drunk drivers off the road.
Lincoln County Sheriff's Deputy Stephen Robertson says Tucker carried several special titles: 40-year Army veteran, father, Reguladorus road captain, community servant, and one more close to his heart.
He's also my father-in-law.
Tucker cared about everyone with compassion.
His family was very important to him. His kids, his grandkids were all very important to him. And then service to the community. This guy instilled it. He spent 46 years serving the nation as a whole and in his direct community.
Before his time at the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Tucker, then officer, spent more than 4 years here at the Wright City Police Department.
He was a very generous person. I know of several occasions where he noticed a family in need and went by the food pantry and brought them food.
Building trust, one good deed at a time.
You know, he took that extra time to really engage with people and meet them where they are, which is, you know, the biggest piece, especially in a small rural community. It's important that our citizens trust the police and can communicate with them.
And on Sunday, Tucker's two worlds met for one last ride.
He is deeply missed by his family, by his friends, by his coworkers.
Reporting in Lincoln County, Laura Barczewski, 5 on Your Side.
We're told the driver who hit Tucker is in serious condition tonight. Funeral arrangements for the deputy are still being made. One person is dead after a deadly crash in St. Charles County. It happened just after midnight on Interstate 70 near Bryan Road in Lake St. Louis. Police say the driver of a Chevy Traverse stopped and started to get out when they were hit by another car. The victim has been identified as 34-year-old Damon Ray of Sedalia. The other driver was not hurt. Tonight, St. Louis crews are dealing with another water main break. This latest one popped up near the intersection of Magnolia and Grand on the northeast corner of Tower Grove Park. No word on how many homes and businesses are affected and how long this repair will take. The city's been dealing with dozens of water main breaks in recent weeks. The Board of Aldermen recently passed 2 separate $5 water rate hikes to help repair the city's aging infrastructure. A comfortable July night across St. Louis. Temperatures will drop into the 60s tonight. But the heat, humidity, and our chances of storms are building back, and Weather First meteorologist Gary Frank is here with what you can expect for your work week.
Yeah, good evening, Mike. We're really looking forward to some rain, and especially during the work week, we'd like that. But, you know, as we're looking outside right now, it's another cool night. In fact, you probably have already started to open the windows up, or you've enjoyed maybe a mosquito-less night as we look downtown. Those clouds that were with us, at least the first part of the day, have cleared out and moved to the south, and you'll notice not much is going on right now. That flow, that pattern where these storms continue to move avoids us, at least at this point. Things are starting to change, though, in our favor in terms of storm development and movement, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. It's 75 right now. The wind is calm. It's dry. We continue to see overnight. It's another cool night, 62 degrees. But I am optimistic the week ahead that we have more chances for rain. And this is not just me saying, all right, we got a couple chances for rain. Let's look at the 7-day forecast. No, the law of averages, and a few of them are really starting to increase for us. So I'm thinking about mowing my lawn, not letting it dry out. You know, every time I do that, it bakes. No, we're going to have better opportunities for rain and even some potential for severe weather. We'll highlight that and why our pattern is changing just ahead.
All right, Gary. Developing right now, leaders in Valley Park are meeting to discuss the city budget. The meeting of the Finance, Ways and Means Committee got underway within the hour. City Hall and services were temporarily shut down last week. The mayor claims members of the Board of Aldermen failed to show up to vote on a budget. The city is now operating under a 2-week extension passed during an emergency meeting on the 4th of July. Well, we are still 16 months away from the 2024 elections, but tonight the race for Missouri governor is heating up with the first Democrat jumping in. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, previews Crystal Quade's campaign launch.
Maybe you've heard the old phrase, politics ain't beanbag. Democrat Crystal Quade jumped into the race for Missouri governor Sunday morning, treating it a lot more like a full contact sport.
People say politics can be tough. I tell them, I can handle it.
Minority Leader Crystal Quade led Missouri Democrats through dozens of defeats on the Missouri House floor.
And I'm leading the fight to restore our abortion rights.
Now, in a presidential election year, she hopes to rally an underdog party to elect the first Democratic governor Missouri has seen since 2012.
I'm running for governor for one simple reason. Because parents who are working extra shifts today have children who need to beat the odds tomorrow.
Quade highlighted her humble upbringing, growing up on food stamps on a gravel road, and mentioned GOP candidate Jay Ashcroft's privilege as the son of a governor and U.S. senator, and jabbed Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe's wealth as the owner of a cattle farm and car dealership. Kehoe responding, Missourians believe success should be rewarded, not mocked. The Ashcroft campaign simply saying he welcomes Representative Quade to the race. In a recent interview on The Record,
they're constantly trying to out-extreme each other.
Quade predicted a moderate Mike Kehoe will drift farther to the right to survive a primary fight with Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft.
Jay Ashcroft has most recently on a radio station even went after the right for gay folks to be married and very publicly has opposed that. And so he is very extreme.
So I'm a conservative.
We recently caught up with the lieutenant governor on the campaign trail and asked him to respond.
Do you feel that the Missouri legislature has gone too far on either the direction of guns or abortion?
Well, both parties have people that are extreme left and extreme right. And that's not where Missouri is. I don't know that I'm a moderate. I would consider myself a conservative that's willing to talk to people even when they don't agree with me.
Quade officially launches her campaign Monday in Springfield before kicking off her first tour across the state as a candidate. The primary is in August of next year.
And to find full interviews with these candidates and to catch all the latest local political coverage, text the word RECORD to 314-425-5355. We'll send a link straight to your phone. And new episodes of The Record with Mark Maxwell stream Thursdays on 5+. Well, tonight, President Biden is in Europe. He arrived in London just a few hours ago. The president will meet with King Charles and Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. This kicks off a 5-day, 3-nation European trip that will be dominated by a NATO summit in Lithuania. The hot topic, whether Ukraine can join NATO now. President Biden tells CNN the war-torn nation is not ready and should wait until after its war with Russia is over.
If the war is going on, then we're all in the war. You know, we're at war with Russia if that were the case. So I think we have to lay out a path, for the rational path, for Ukraine to be able to qualify to get into NATO.
The NATO summit will take place just days after President Biden approved cluster munitions for Ukraine's defense. The weapon is banned by several NATO nations. The community came out today to help a family deal with tragedy. A St. Clair County bar is stepping up to support a grieving family. Tavern on Main in downtown Belleville hosted a fundraiser for 10-year-old Brandon Scott. He was shot and killed inside his home last week. His family says he was playing video games when a bullet went through his window and struck him. Among those coming out in support today, one of Brandon's classmates.
He was just a very nice, I don't know, he was just funny, goofy, yeah. He was just very, heartwarming and stuff. He was a very good kid.
You can also donate to Brandon's GoFundMe to help with funeral expenses. We have a link in the As Seen on TV section at KSDK.com. 2 men have been charged in Scott's murder. Investigators say Jalen Nix and Devin Dunbar knew the boy's family.
A hidden sanctuary.
You become part of a brotherhood, and this is a perfect place to come and be a part of that brotherhood.
The local oasis offering hope and friendship to disabled veterans. Too much energy?
Even though kids aren't supposed to drink a drink with this much caffeine.
Their drinks popular with kids thanks in part to social media. Tonight, the calls for the FDA to investigate.
Temperatures in the 50s and 60s this morning. It does not feel like July. We'll talk about even cooler weather on the way before it gets right back to where July would expect to be.
Even during the summer, some disabled veterans never leave their homes. A local man is trying to change that. As you'll learn in tonight's Making a Difference report, he's also a veteran who believes in the notion, if you build it, they will come.
Sometimes stepping into the great outdoors can help you find inner peace. That's the idea behind this hidden sanctuary in Waterloo, Illinois. Welcome to Dude's Playground, where disabled veterans find solace, friendship, and a flicker of hope.
Here at Dude's Playground, our mission is to bring people out that don't normally get out.
Named after his steadfast companion, Dude the dog,
I want your love.
Richard Melching Sr. bought this property when he was going through his own struggles.
I want your love.
Haunted by the weight of his own Army service, relentless migraines became his burden. In the depths of despair, he put a loaded gun in his mouth.
The oil on the gun woke me up, and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And later that morning, I was introduced to the psych ward for the first time. I don't care if you served in wartime. I don't care if you served in peacetime. We all raised our right hand.
After getting treatment, Rich made it his mission to start a recreational retreat for disabled veterans.
I shed a tear. I prayed to God and said, I want to share this.
Dude's Playground offers leisure activities like fishing.
They've given me MRIs and everything on my back.
But it's also a refuge for veterans to unload their burdens.
I was scared. I was scared the time I got in there and the time I got out.
And embrace the camaraderie they had while serving.
When it first happened to me, I was scared to death. I don't know what was going on.
You become part of a brotherhood, and this is a perfect place to come and be a part of that brotherhood.
I get nothing but peace. Peace of mind, peace of self. It's best therapy that I could even get, even if I was in a hospital.
Retired Marine Corporal Robert Wygand served in the unforgiving terrain of Vietnam. In addition to the mental toll, he battles various physical issues due to exposure to the toxic herbicide Agent Orange.
I will try to get you a pension.
He says Rich gave him a priceless gift, hope.
Hey, buddy. When he says he's your friend or brother, you are. As a matter of fact, all these people around here are his brothers.
Well, those are probably the ones I just bought.
Rich says many vets confine themselves to the four walls of their homes.
Hi, buddy.
He encourages their courage to pay him a visit.
We had a veteran that only stopped in for 15 minutes today, but it got him out of the house. So he got out of the house and he came down here. He said, I don't like to go anywhere else. He don't go to the park. He don't want to do anything like this. He said this is the only place that he goes besides his own backyard.
An oasis where the cacophony of life gives way to the symphony of nature.
It's a big family, that's all this is. Everybody helps one another, and it's great. What do you think, buddy? Huh?
Richard Melching and Dude's Playground.
Thanks again, man. I appreciate it. The fishing was awesome.
Transforming veterans' troubled thoughts into a renewed sense of purpose and belonging.
It's fun. It's a beautiful place.
One of the vets told us at Dude's Playground, the sun always seems to be shining. A reminder, we get our Making a Difference stories from you. If you know an inspiring person or someone making a difference for others, let me know by email at mbush@kstk.com. A new warning tonight about a common threat during summer months. The arrival of tick season sparks concerns about those small, bloodthirsty bugs spreading Lyme disease. But last week, the CDC issued a warning about a food allergy spread by the Lone Star tick. It can spark alpha-gal syndrome, which can make you allergic to red meat, among other symptoms.
And it's not just the Lyme disease tick. There's the Lone Star ticks. There's other ticks that are indigenous to, say, the southwest part of the country, and they make their way back here as well.
To protect yourself, you should use tick repellents, cover your arms and legs, and check your body after being outdoors. And if you do find a tick on you, don't throw it away. take it to the doctor to help them determine what type of diseases you may have been exposed to. Take a look at this video out of New York State. Severe weather and heavy rains have turned roads into raging rivers. We've got no reports of any injuries. The storms, though, are expected to continue overnight. Meteorologist Gary Frank joins us now at that Weather First forecast, and he's talking rain this week.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to get some rain and maybe some significant rain. We'll see if we can get to that. We don't want to get that significant. They've had over 10 inches of rain in some of those spots, right? Flash flooding. And that's always the key for us. There's always a fine line that we walk, especially when it's this warm in May, June, and July, because we have all that humidity from the Gulf of Mexico. Just a matter of finding ways to get it to fall to the surface. And sometimes we haven't seen that over the last few days. Let's look at the airport. It's quiet night. In fact, temperatures already in the low to mid 60s at this point. I mean, it is a nice start. It's 71 in St. Charles, but it's 64 in Alton. It's 66 in Pacific. Those are spots that are probably already headed for the upper 50s, even mid 50s tomorrow morning. It's going to be a nice start to your week. Now, we started off at 63 in St. Louis and in the 50s this morning. And, you know, even at 58, it was 63 as our low temperature at Lambert. That's the 11th coolest on this July 9th. So around the top 10, that's how cool it's going to be. And once again, like I mentioned, 50s headed for our way. This is the last that we'll see this for a while, so let's enjoy it because it is going to get hotter as we would expect. So tomorrow we'll start off in the 50s and low 60s, and we'll eventually work our way back up in the low 90s. It's a typical July day, still not all that humid. We'll start to increase our heat and humidity, but it's been so dry. We've been on the other end of the spectrum where we've had pockets of heavy rain. You'll remember them in the city, but not so much in Gasconade County. In Farmington, you've gotten a little bit this week, but I want to talk about why that is because we get set up into these systems where none of these thunderstorms that are upstream around the Rockies have moved our way. And why is that? Well, right now, we're starting to see that change, and I'm optimistic as this system sits here in the Hudson Bay and sits here and spins. It's not moving anywhere, so that's blocking one side of things. The other end of the spectrum is a pretty strong high pressure in the Four Corners in Desert Southwest. One thing that we're going to look at is we're finally in between the main flow of storms. So any storms that develop, we'll watch them kind of pop up here over the Dakotas, and you'll start to watch, and we'll watch for multiple disturbances upstream. That's our best bet we've had in a while. Now, they'll vary in intensity, there's no doubt about it, but we have not seen this pattern just yet. And I want to show you what it may look like on Futurecast, because this is what this is kind of pumping these out. These storms, cloud cover, rain, we've said this for weeks, right? But what we're going to be relying on is actually several of those storms. When do they arrive? What interactions are they going to have when they get here? I think it's a better opportunity for us to get 1 to 2 inches of rain. I know that's not enough, but I think as we start to look at how as early as Wednesday morning, a few of these storms develop. How long do they stick around? More storms are behind them, and that's what I think is very promising this week as we start off with Wednesday. Our best chance for storms. Even Thursday, we'll see multiple rounds like that heading into the weekend. It feels more like July, but I think that we're going to see a better opportunity for a lot of spots to get over 1 or 2 inches this week.
Okay, we could use the rain.
Yes, indeed.
Gary, thanks. Passport problems. Viral claims they expire long before their expiration date. Tonight, we verify. A call tonight for the FDA to investigate an energy drink popular with kids over potentially dangerous levels of caffeine. Prime energy drinks were launched by YouTube stars Logan Paul and KSI. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer believes the brand is targeting children. He claims the beverages have more than double the caffeine of a can of Red Bull and 6 times more than a can of Coke.
A lot of parents may never heard of it, but their kids have, because Prime is engaged in a vast advertising campaign aimed at kids, even though kids aren't supposed to drink a drink with this much caffeine.
Company representatives say the viral drink is clearly labeled, not recommended for children under 18, pregnant or nursing women, and those sensitive to caffeine. Your passport is your ticket to travel outside the country. Tonight, our Verify team is looking into a viral claim that some countries are turning Americans away with valid passports. Here's Brandon Lewis.
A passport is your most important travel document, and they're typically valid for 10 years. But a woman in a viral TikTok with more than 10 million views claims she wasn't allowed to board her flight because her passport expired in 5 months.
Only to get to the airport to be told that you can't fly.
So, let's verify. Do some countries require you to have at least 6 months left on your passport in order to travel? Our sources are the U.S. State Department, several U.S. embassies, and the embassies of the United Arab Emirates and Mexico. While your passport has an expiration date, The State Department says many countries require you to renew it several months before visiting. This is typically to avoid your passport expiring if your plans change and you stay longer than planned. The rules vary depending on where you're going. The TikToker was flying to the United Arab Emirates, which requires passports to remain valid for 6 months after the passenger's arrival. This is the same policy as many other countries, including China, India, Thailand, and Israel. But that's not the case everywhere. For example, Mexico mandates that your passport remain valid just for the length of your stay. So, yes, some countries do require you to have at least 6 months left on your passport in order to travel. The State Department says to check the entry rules on its website and to plan ahead because it can take more than 3 months to renew your passport. But it does offer same-day passports in certain circumstances for an extra fee, which is what the TikToker ended up doing. With Your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
What would you like us to verify? Just send an email to verify@ksdk.com. Who wants to be a multi-millionaire? The multiple chances you have this coming week. Might be a good week to play the lottery. Tomorrow night's Powerball jackpot has grown to $650 million after no one matched all 6 numbers in last night's drawing. A $1 million winning ticket was sold in Illinois. And that's not the only big jackpot this week. Tuesday's Mega Millions drawing is now worth $480 million. Amazon is holding its annual Prime Day sale this Tuesday and Wednesday. For the first time, the company is offering invite-only deals for quick-selling items to Prime subscribers. During last year's Prime Day event, the online retail giant raked in nearly $12 billion in sales. Skylens 5 flew over the sunflower fields at the Columbia Bottom Conservation Area this morning. The sunflowers are now in full bloom. You can walk through the fields in Spanish Lake and take pictures, but remember, do not pick the sunflowers. The flowers should stay in bloom through mid-August. And there you have it, 5 on your side at 10. Don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 a.m. And now here's Frank Cusimano with Sports Plus.